In my journey of losing weight, I had tried so many methods and so many different fad diets that were suggested either on Instagram or online. The problem with this is that so many of them come with different food and calorie recommendations that I had feared I'd ruin my metabolism forever. These fad diets and get fit quick methods work in the short term, and I had this instant short-term success where I would lose 5 pounds and gain it back. I'd lose 10 pounds and be really happy, but then gain it all back again. These methods never allowed me to feel full. I was unhappy and moody all the time because of this. So then I decided I really needed to do something to see a full and final change, the healthy way. I then decided to start doing reverse dieting. I'd heard it so many times online because so many people had had successful journeys after having not been able to lose weight for a very long time. When I watched these stories, it was like looking in the mirror, and I felt like I'd finally found a way to potentially give me that success of getting to my goal. Social media has a massive impact, especially when it comes to diet culture, and for me, this was something that I wanted to restart, and reverse dieting is something that immensely helped me on that journey. To better explain my journey, I'm going to be getting into my calorie counts, my weight, and everything in between. As this is very specific to me, I hope that you guys do your research on what you should be eating as your own personal intake and not to take my intake as your go-to method. Every individual body needs and requires different intakes. Taking it back to where it started, and that was about 3 years ago when I ran into MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal was one of the most popular ways to track your calories of every single thing you ate that day in order to stay in your deficit and make sure that you were doing exactly that. For me, the problem was my results very quickly would never ever shift down any further. For the first week or so, I would always lose weight and I'd be really excited and really happy that I'd cracked it. But after which, it just wouldn't shift at all. It feels so disheartening when you feel like you're doing everything possible, the deficit, the exercise, and nothing seems to be shifting. Don't get me wrong, I don't just quit straight after I don't see any results. I would keep going and going for weeks and months and still nothing would shift. I then was able to understand what exactly was happening and why this was happening. Due to the way that I had been dieting before, and also just naturally in a weight loss journey, my metabolism had slowed down drastically. Because I'd been eating less, and because I'd been exercising more, our body uses less energy and burns less energy in order to adapt to it, which is called metabolic adaptation. Essentially, your body starts to store and hold more of the fat in order to protect itself for if there is less food going in, less energy going in, which means less energy burned. When I realised this, it wasn't that my body was broken or the scales are broken, actually it's doing exactly what it should do. This essentially means that your body is in less of a calorie deficit. It has gotten so used to your intake and it's adjusted its burning that it's now comfortable. This ended up being a constant cycle for me wanting to give up because I was unhappy with the little that I was eating based on my recommended intake, but also seeing no results. And it can feel like, is my body broken? How am I going to fix this? Is my metabolism broken? Well, this is how I fixed mine, and that was with reverse dieting. Every single body's beautiful and completely different, so I always say do your research before going into and trying something new, but this is just my personal experience that I wanted to share with you guys. For this, I had to increase my calories slowly over the course of a couple weeks and a couple of months to allow my body to adjust and get used to burning more calories based on the more intake. Initially, this was a scary concept because you think if I'm in a deficit and trying to lose weight, you don't really want to be increasing and increasing. But the thing is, it so happens so slowly that it still allows your body to lose weight and burn weight because of this increase. So guys, going on to my journey with reverse dieting is something that really helped me and was almost a breath of fresh air going into this process because, as you know, I've tried so many fad diets in the past that really made me feel like everything was stuck, nothing was moving, and because I was gaining and losing and never ever staying at where I had lost, it felt like I ruined my metabolism. And these fad diets can give you that because on a very low restricted diet, our body can stay there. Our body can be like, right, this is all I need every day. There's no point losing weight or burning more calories because I'm now where exactly I want to be. And that's what the body does with reverse dieting. Reverse dieting really allowed me that natural reset in order to get my body exactly back to where it wanted to be. When you've been in a calorie deficit for so long, I tried it so many times, our body thinks that's where it needs to be in order to maintain what it wants to eat. And by increasing slowly slowly week after week, which is a scary concept at first because you think with weight loss, you don't really want to be increasing, you want to be reducing. But actually that's not exactly how it works. And the science is your body needs to be at a place where it can be creating that deficit, and too low, it begins to store everything. And you want to give it that shake up, that shock, in order to be like, actually, you can have more and do that deficit and still be creating those weight loss goals that you want and losing weight on the scales. And this is what really happened for me. Now, the reason that our body can end up yo-yo dieting or gaining and losing weight is it goes within this battle of a very harsh restriction, and our stress levels increasing, our hunger levels increasing, and it's trying to fight to regulate all these things, and that causes this yo-yo. And our mind here is like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? What do I do with all this bouncing and yo-yoing? And just to know that it's not your fault. Our body is just producing these hormones and chemicals, and that is exactly what it's doing when we're in an under restriction. That's how it fights to adapt to what is going on. So it can leave us thinking, how do we mend and fix our metabolism after all this yo-yoing to kind of reset it back to its actual natural set point of where it wants to be in order to lose weight or maintain, and give it its healthy balance of all these hormones and processes. Now, there's two methods in order to do this, one of which is reverse dieting and another one is all in. In this video specifically, I've showed you guys how reverse dieting insanely helped me, and it was a process that I was terrified to dive into before, because you think, increasing on a weight loss journey? I don't want to be increasing. I've got, you know, summer to be getting ready for, all these other things to be getting ready for. I do not have time to be increasing, but it actually works. And I have a very stubborn metabolism, and this is exactly how I did it. It essentially boosts up our resting metabolic rate up to its required or preferred rate, which is exactly where we want to be. And we can go years of not being in this place, but it's exactly the reason why I wanted to do it, because I thought it's finally time to give my body exactly what it wants. It's also really important to point out that I feel like everyone has that friend who seems as if they can eat everything, and where they're like, we gain weight after a hot chocolate, for example. Now, to really explain this is that everyone has a different window in which they can lose weight or eat in order before they start to gain weight. And this is going to be, for example, smaller for me than it is for the other person who can eat everything and still not gain as much weight. What happens is, with yo-yo dieting, for example, or doing all these fad diets and doing diets with a low calorie intake for a very long period of time, I'm actually shortening my window. And although it might work for a little while, you will hit that plateau, and in order to increase that, basically that is what reverse dieting will do. It will increase the window, and that's why it's known as the diet to eat more and feel better, the eat more feel better diet. And it really does make a huge difference, because the more we're able to eat to satiety, that satiety hormone, which is called ghrelin, I think, I'll put it up here if I've got it wrong. Satiety hormone actually kicks in. Yes, satiety is actually a hormone that triggers the brain to say we are full, we've had enough, and we get more of that when our body is in the exact place that it wants to be. So it really does help, especially for a short period of time, whether you want to do it over a month or 2 months, to get our chemicals more balanced and help these processes actually happen. And I would honestly say it was a massive catalyst to my weight loss journey and me feeling a lot better. I didn't want to feel, you know, that moody diet girl anymore. I wanted to feel a lot happier. When you are happier, again, you can sustain it for a lot longer. Over the course of about 2 months, I was increasing week after week after week my calories. I was less restrictive, but I did want to make sure that I was increasing it, so I tracked it for that period of time. But as of now, I'm not a huge calorie tracker, but in order to reset, I am now able to eat so much more food than I ever thought I was able to. And that's one of the things in a weight loss journey, that when we feel so heavily restricted, we can feel like we're missing out or resentful of the process. And this is one of the things that I thought was the barrier for me getting to where I wanted to be, because I just didn't feel happy enough. I didn't feel like I was eating enough. I always felt hungry, and you know when you go to sleep with such hunger and you're like, oh my gosh, when is this diet going to end? And when you get to the point where your body is eating in a healthy way but it's also satisfied, that's when it feels like it can carry it on. And that's what you're doing by reverse dieting, is giving it a place within, you know, your frame of what you should eat in order to feel enough of satiety but also enough to actually lose the weight. And you do that by gradually getting there as well. When it came to the adding, I started off with increasing of 30 calories per week. This sounds very small, but it does end up adding up, and it's really important for this slow process in order for your body to get used to it. This felt so freeing because I eventually got to a number that I never ever thought I would ever be able to get to while losing weight on a weight loss journey. The food freedom I had was crazy, and still have now. I could eat pancakes, I could eat so many other things that are enabled because of this massive increase, but still seeing results. And the way it works is our bodies can adjust to it because you're making such small changes over the course of a long period of time. The changes are so small, but it's so freeing once you get to a massive build up over about a month or two. Now, another thing to bear in mind is that cortisol, the stress hormone, increases when we're at a massive deficit, especially when our deficit is under our recommended barriers of weight loss or weight maintenance. The increase of the cortisol, the stress hormone, is what can make us slow down our metabolism. This is what slows down a metabolism. So it's really important to be within your calorie intake, to either get a nutritionist or use an online calorie calculator, and make sure that it's at least within this or a little bit above to make sure you're not falling too under this. Which is why sometimes in a weight loss journey we can feel unhappy and, you know, just miserable with the amount that we're eating. And it's not you, it's very normal, because that's just our body saying, hey, this is too little, or hey, I don't know what to do with this, it's trying to process everything. And you know, you can get there, you will get within your boundaries and find the right method for you. I just want to do a disclaimer that every single body is different, so it's not a recommendation that you must do reverse dieting, but I just wanted to share my experience of how it helped me and kind of explain. Now guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to give it a massive thumbs up, turn your bell notifications on to get notified every single time that I upload. Come and follow my inspirational fitness page on Instagram as well as my podcast page as well. Now I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye guys.